following program is intended for mature audiences.
What do you say we have a rock and roll party?
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Do you mostly watch on your computer?
Yeah.
See, with me, it's I'm either on YouTube on the computer, sports on the regular TV, or it's Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon Video. I rarely ever watch like History Channel or anything like that. It's all the streaming stuff.
I've got Netflix, I've got Hulu, WWE Network, the MLB and NBA and NHL apps on PlayStation, mean that I don't even really need to watch for sports. Honestly, I can watch baseball and hockey through my PlayStation now.
Yeah, actually, I should say too that
when I do watch.
Go ahead.
When I do watch Netflix or whatever, it's on. It's also on my Xbox. Like that's if it's on TV, it's through my Xbox.
Right.
I
was just gonna say for me with baseball, that's where I watch all my baseballs in the MLB TV app. Either on my iPad or through the PlayStation. Yeah, it's really rare for me to have anything other than a live sporting event on the actual. I don't know. I guess my girlfriend watches DirecTV a lot, but honestly, I could probably do without it. If it weren't for football, I don't think I'd even need it.
It got to the point for me where when I moved down here, I was like, all right, I'm gonna need to get the MLB and NHL cable packages so I can watch the Leafs and Jays. But then I thought about it. I'm like, well, if I'm going to pay for these services, why not just, instead of buying the cable packages, why not just buy the subscriptions through the apps on the PlayStation and just watch it that way?
Yep.
And yeah, so it's.
Well, like regular television, I mean, first off, there's really not a whole lot on that I want to watch, especially since they got rid of the H2 and replaced it with Vice, which Vice is very good. But
after Hulu put up Ancient Aliens, I have no reason to watch the History Channel anymore.
Well, yeah, and I've got the Hulu subscription where there's no commercials. I pay the extra $3 a month, so you don't have to have the commercials even. So even network stuff that I want to watch, I watch on Hulu. Like I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. There's a show called Blackish, which I find really funny, and that's all on Hulu. I watch. I started watching that Designated Survivor, but it was stupid, and I quit watching that.
I watched the first episode, was like, this seems like it could be good, and then
Designated Survivor had a great premise, but man, they couldn't put anything together with it.
It fell by the wayside, and I ended up watching the Lethal Weapon TV show instead.
God.
Designated Survivor
which is really good. I will go to the grave defending the Lethal Weapon TV show. It is really good.
Is it?
Really good, yes.
Let's check it out.
I don't know why or how, but sure.
Well, but even then, I don't even watch it on TV because it's on Hulu. So
right. No, yeah, like if there's TV shows I want to watch now, I just watch them on my computer.
And I'll just admit it right here on the podcast. I don't care. For Game of Thrones, I just pirate it.
Ooh.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, no one knows your address or anything, and Tampa's a big city, so they won't find you.
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
Speaking of television,
find me. There you go.
While we're talking about it, has anyone watched any of the NCAA basketball tournament?
I almost did, but then I almost did. It was actually one of the few times I was watching TV. I couldn't find anything, and then so I was on the guide. I went down, saw that they were playing some NCAA basketball, hit it, and just as I had hit it to select it, I noticed that a few channels up, they were actually running Seinfeld reruns. So, like, we exited the guide. I exited back to guide and then watched Seinfeld. But for, like, a good half a second, I was watching NCAA basketball.
I think I watched the end of a game Friday night just for, like, the last 5 minutes, and that's it. And the worst part is I have absolutely no interest in it this year. None. I don't even care. I just don't watch it.
I haven't seen a single second of it. I think it's just I've drifted so far away from basketball as a whole.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, as far as I could tell, looking through the scores of the first 2 rounds, there's really nothing exciting going on.
I read an article, or I shouldn't say I read an article, but I saw a headline somewhere. I think it might have been on the Ringer that the tournament is so boring this year that and then it was the rest of the article is going to explain it, but I haven't heard anything big happen in it. And I'm like you, I just have no interest in it. And like Mike, I basically watched it by accident. I was flipping through the channels and there it was, and I thought, okay. But I remember I used to be, not even 5 years ago, I'd get really excited, a great Thursday basketball. And now I don't even care. It's like when they expanded it to 68 teams and had those dumbass play-in games. I said, that's enough. I can't take it anymore.
I honestly never got the appeal. Maybe it's a Canadian thing, like American college sports just weren't as big a thing. So, but like, I don't even think that's it, though, because that's a reason, because American college football isn't so big up in Canada either. But once I moved down here and got regular access to like the SEC games, I was finding out that I loved it. I was like, oh, this is great.
Well, yeah, college football is way better than pretty much everything, if you ask me.
I found myself living and dying by my Auburn Tigers every game. They had a nice little run where you thought maybe they could have put it together, and so it was fun. But now, no. I watched half a second because I realized Seinfeld was on, and well, there you go.
With college basketball, I never really watched a whole lot during the regular season as it was.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't even count.
I think part of it is like the one and done thing is really hurting it to me, because you have all these players that just kind of go to the NBA, and then of course with the NBA, I'm not following the NBA as much, so I don't necessarily care about these one and done players, and so guys aren't sticking around in college for a long time, and it's like, I don't know who's good. I don't know who any of the players are, because the best players come and go so quickly that it's like, you just don't. There's not enough investment in it or enough time earned, I guess. To
that's why Kentucky's John Calipari at Kentucky. They've made an art form out of the one and done. That's why it's so loaded every year, because he just doesn't care.
But as far as I can tell, too, he doesn't necessarily care about winning the tournament. He just cares about pumping these kids through his system to get them to the NBA.
Yeah, and then I think, too, maybe I'm just crazy and I watch too many conspiracy theory things, but some of these matchups, I look at it and I go, you set this up specifically to try to get an upset. Like there's always a 12-5 upset in the tournament. And sometimes I look at it and go, I don't know that team, again, I don't know enough about it, so maybe I'm just imagining things, but I look at it and I go, why is this team that I've heard of ranked, a 12 seed in this tournament, other than maybe just to get an upset at the 5 spot?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like I know Middle Tennessee State was the only 12 that won this year. And from what I understood, there was a bunch of people that were saying that they were underseeded as it was.
Yeah.
And the team they beat might have been a little overseeded too.
Well, you're right though about the players. It's just you can't follow a team anymore. I couldn't name a single player that plays for Ohio State in basketball this year, not a single one. Right.
Whereas like even just a few years ago, you had a guy like Evan Turner who was there for a few years, or Greg Oden when he was there there for a few years. The guys that stay at any of these schools for a decent amount of time end up being also rans in the NBA. You never hear about them ever again.
Well, and you get a few guys. I remember there was this guy when I was living in Syracuse. They went all the way to the championship game in '96, and there was this junior that played for him, John Wallace. He was a pretty good player, and he could have gone in the NBA and probably been like a top 10 pick that year. But back then, it was like stay the extra year, get the more experience and all that. Well, he stayed the extra year. Syracuse wasn't as good. I think they went out like the second round maybe, and the poor guy, ended up getting drafted in like the second round or something. It totally killed his whole NBA career by staying that extra season, or at least it cost him a bunch of money, I should say. So you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. But I'm with you. It's just I don't want to watch. Why should I get invested in a team this year that I know is going to be completely different next year?
Right, and at least in college football, we know that a lot of these kids are playing on these teams specifically because they can play football, not that they're there for school or whatever.
We're not here to play school.
Right. But they're still there for at least 3 years usually. Two or 3 years.
2 or 3.
So there's some sort of, I guess, mirage that they're there to be at the school for
there's just continuity, if nothing else.
Whereas with these basketball players, especially some of the kid that's playing for UCLA, what's his name? Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
he's a local kid from Chino Hills, and I know all about his brothers who are also good. And it's like they're just he's at UCLA specifically to play one season of basketball and leave. He's not there to go to UCLA. He's there. I'm here to play, 5 months of basketball and then go to the NBA.
And that's the thing too, because didn't the NBA implement that rule that they have to be like a year out of high school? They can't get drafted anymore. I mean, it's just stupid. Yeah. Either let them come straight out of high school, or I don't know. It's just, or form a minor league and have.
Well, they have one,
the D League, but that's like for but I'm talking like a real minor league where like, okay, you don't want to go to college, we don't want you at 18 years old. Go play in this league for 2 years, and then we'll bring you up. It's instead the D League is basically the guys that would be like the 12th man on a roster. They aren't very good, and it's ruining college basketball. I mean, I would really rather see a less talented team in college basketball that's been there for a few years, because right now, like Zach said, it's just basically a feeder system for the NBA, which if you're going to do that, then pay the guys,
Hey, or go Raptors 905. Okay.
Hey, I watched Cavs Lakers last night. That was actually a really good game. It was, it really was.
Well, I actually want to talk about the Cavaliers a little bit in a minute, but
Kyrie Irving scored like 45 points last night, but it was pretty good. I know the Lakers were terrible; it should have never been that close, but it was still a really fun game.
Yeah, what the NCAA and NBA need to do is have a system like they have with baseball and with hockey. Like you can come out of high school or whatever and be drafted right away. But if you go, you can either go to the pros and just skip college altogether. But if you do go to college, you got to be there for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then you can go to the pros.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, seems fair.
Yeah, it seems like a great idea, but I don't. It doesn't seem, at least with basketball, that there's any real groundswell or any real motivation for anybody to do it, because they're still making hand over fist money,
right?
And the ratings are still there, and
but to me,
I don't see that it's really been a detriment to basketball people. It's a detriment to casual people like us.
I don't know. The whole thing is just not interesting to me at all. I've watched World Baseball Classic stuff. I watched the NBA over it. Certainly watched.
Speaking of which, Team Israel made some waves, so
I'm telling you guys, I know you don't believe me, and I know you think I'm nuts, but this World Baseball Classic has been really, really good. I swear to God.
I have followed it. I haven't watched any games, but
I haven't. I followed. I haven't watched the game, but I've seen the buzz. I've seen some certain things. I've seen Adam Jones with that great catch against the Dominican Republic the other day. That was pretty cool. But actually, I wanted to get up to the World Baseball Classic at some point because I just loved how Adrian Gonzalez tore this thing down as soon as he got back to Dodgers camp. Mexico was eliminated. So Mexico got eliminated, and I guess the way it worked was they had won a game and they were in a 3-way tie, and they needed to do a tiebreaker. But because of and initially they were told that they were going to be the team, the tiebreaker, and that Italy was going to be the team left out of the 3 that didn't get to play the tiebreaker because of like a secondary tiebreaker. I guess it's like runs scored per inning.
Honest to God, I don't know how they advance or why. I just take the announcer's word for it and go, okay, they're moving on.
I guess because they're trying to take it in soccer. In soccer, it's goal differential that is like the first tiebreaker, because they usually just don't play another game. But in baseball, they decided that they were going to have tiebreakers, but in the event of a 3-way tie, one team had to get left out because of runs allowed per inning. And because of how baseball works, of course, if there's like a walk-off, sometimes you don't get a full inning, so then they have to take the runs and divide it by 8.1.
This is already sounding way too complicated.
Yeah, anyway, basically what happened, Mexico was told they were going to do it. They went to bed, and then like at 3 a.m, somebody from the WBC was like, oh, we miscalculated it, by the way. Italy is in the tiebreaker.
Oh.
And then Mexico had to send in all these petitions, and then they were like, yeah, sorry, you have to go home now.
And which, by the way, is a wrestling-esque swerve.
Yeah, that looks bad. That's not good at all.
And so Mexico gets eliminated. Not very happy about it.
Imagine that.
And then so Adrian Gonzalez, his quote that I love was, the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, they're trying to be the World Cup. They're not even the Little League World Series.
Oh.
Yeah, that's screwed up. And like I said, I don't understand how they advance. I just watched. The games have been good. I don't know that the overall idea behind the thing is very good. I just know that what I've seen has been good competitive baseball, which is really all I care about, because to me it beats a spring training game. But as far as like who's going to win it and stuff, I couldn't care less. I'd like to see Team Israel win because I want the Minch on the bench to take it all the way. But other than that, I don't care.
Israel finally fell to Japan. So,
but I mean, like the Dominican Republic U.S. games were just both really good games because they both got very talented teams, and it's just good competitive baseball. But if they said they're going to get rid of it tomorrow, I wouldn't shed a tear over it. I'm like, fine, whatever. It's just a dumb idea, but if you're going to do it well. And if they finally have done it from a play level wise, it's been very good this year. But I don't know
something else. Something else that had jumped at me when I was reading some of the coverage on it was there was I think it was a Dodger pitcher that was going to pitch for the Netherlands. I think it was
Kenley Jansen.
Right. I guess it was he was in Dodgers camp. He wasn't necessarily with the team for the first couple games, and then they advanced or something. And it just so happened that the next game they were going to play was in his rotation of his training schedule. So it was oh yeah, I'll pop over to San Diego and play.
I think it was Kenley Jansen of the Dodgers, because they were just talking to him a little while ago, which, very interesting to me that Kenley Jansen is from the Netherlands. You would have never guessed by looking at him.
But my thing was oh yeah, well, it's convenient. You're playing a game on Tuesday? I'm supposed to throw a bullpen on Tuesday. I'll come over. And it's what? Again, it's they're trying to make this thing seem serious, but then guys kind of, some guys are treating it kind of serious. Some guys are popping in and out. Some guys don't give a shit. It's weird.
Well, you can tell. I mean, the Dominican Republic, they're taking it very seriously because they think, and
Puerto Rico looks like they're doing it. Yeah.
I mean, the Dominican Republic team. I mean, that team is really good, top to bottom. I mean, I think one of the announcers even said this is the best team in the world. They would beat the Cubs in a 7-game series.
Well, I think just to clarify, Kenley Jansen is he's not actually from the Netherlands. He's from one of the Netherlands' Caribbean colonies, which, given how the Netherlands is constituted, the colonies in the Caribbean actually have representation in their parliament, so they are considered part of the Netherlands.
So it's not that much of a stretch then that he's. I mean, it's
He's actually from Dutch-controlled territory. So
that's fair then.
One of the problems I have with that is why don't they just name it Team Curacao? Because Puerto Rico gets a team. They're technically
I'll tell you what the difference is.
U.S. territory. They can get U.S. passports.
I'll tell you.
Why are the Puerto Ricans playing for America?
I can tell you the difference. There. Puerto Rico is not a full part of the United States. It doesn't have voting representation in the United States legislature.
Don't they have a senator or a representative? They get people there. I know they can't vote.
Not full representation, whereas the legal international entity known as the Kingdom of the Netherlands, those Caribbean territories are considered a complete part of the country with full voting rights and the legislators and whatnot. So if you really wanted to split hairs, honestly, the easiest solution there is y'all should just make Puerto Rico a state.
Well, going back
to
solve
that problem.
Going back to why he's not. What's the name of the place? Kenley Jansen. Yeah, the reason there's not a team because no one in Europe's going to be interested in that team. Not to say that people in Europe are interested in the Netherlands team, but there's a better chance. You're not spreading the game globally, quote unquote. If you concentrate all the teams in the islands and stuff, you need the European teams, and I think that's why. Because let's be honest about it, I don't know that there's a single person that was born in Holland proper that plays for that team. I mean, if there is, good for him, but I really doubt that it's there.
I think it's Blyleven the manager because his parents or grandparents are from.
Yeah, the team is made up of people either from the Caribbean territories or Americans of Dutch ancestry.
I mean,
the rule. I believe the eligibility rule, as somebody posted it, was not. You don't necessarily have to be a citizen, You don't even have to have a passport. You just have to be eligible to get a passport in that country.
Well,
Yeah.
shit. So I could go play for Team Israel then, based on that criteria.
Because Israel has one of their passport laws is if you can prove your Jewishness, that you can get a passport to Israel.
Yes. Well,
I could play for. I actually at one point only half jokingly considered the Israeli hockey team because I figured how hard could that be to make?
I was going to say the Cherokee Jewish connection is tenuous at best, so I don't know if that would hold up in my application, but I could try.
Fill out the form, and when you have to provide documents, direct them to a History Channel special on the matter.
Somebody, though, I forget where I was. I think it was on the board. Somebody brought up the idea with the World Baseball Classic. Get rid of the All-Star game. If you want to do this every 4 years, get rid of the All-Star game and take a week off in the season and play it then. I think that's a great idea. That way it's interesting because this is just... It's kind of like the World Cup of Hockey thing. I mean, there's no good way to do it because you're screwing up training camps. And, it's good competitive baseball, and the hockey might be pretty good, but it's not right.
We joke about the World Baseball Classic, but at the same time, I think if you kind of just looked at it like the World Baseball Classic as a concept versus the All-Star Game as a concept, I think more people care about or at least would be interested in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
It's just at a bad time.
Well, that's what I mean. With that and the World Cup of Hockey, don't you think if they did those in the same way that we do the Olympics now with the hockey, it would get a lot more interest than it does in October or in baseball's case in March? Put it in the season, make it where everybody's in that mode. I think it would do better. Or, eliminate the whole thing and quit trying to do shit that doesn't need to be done would be the other argument I would make.
Yeah, because not only one of the other things that happened with the U.S. team was Chris Archer was pitching, and the Rays had told Jim Leland, the manager, and USA Baseball that, hey, we want him on a 50-pitch limit. I guess the limit for starting pitchers was 65 anyway, but the Rays said, we want him on a 50-pitch limit. So when he hit 50 pitches, they had to pull him out, and the U.S. ended up losing the game after that because they had to pull the pitcher. And it was, it's just like to constrain yourself by these things, you're gonna run into something like that where it's ultimately not as good of quality of play as you would want it to be.
Right.
The games might be good, but I think if you did put it mid-season when guys are in their rhythm, they're doing fine, then do it then. That would make a whole lot more sense to me. But I think one of the other problems they have, too, is trying to coordinate it with the Korean leagues and the Japanese leagues and all that other stuff. And I know there was a big contentious thing with the Japanese leagues as it was.
And you kind of do need them on board because they're the only other league aside from MLB that is actually, I guess major league tier. So you can't just ignore them.
No,
I don't know.
I don't even know. Don't they? When do they have their season in Japan?
I think they do it in the winter.
Really?
I think. I'm not sure.
And this is going to go completely off what we're talking about, but can someone explain to me why, especially if they play regular season games in the winter, why has MLB Network not picked up Japanese baseball to play during January? I would watch that. I mean, I don't know if I'd watch it every day, but I would love to see some Japanese baseball. I think it'd be cool.
Well, don't they do
Go Ham Fighters?
Damn right.
They broadcast when they have those international series where the third tier all stars of the United States will go over.
But I'm just saying that's good programming for ESPN's not going to touch it, but tell me that NBC Sports couldn't use some Japanese baseball. I mean, it'd be better.
Or just MLB Network,
cow
right?
roping, or MLB Network, but better
just
than
throw it on. What else you got? What else do you have going on during the winter?
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah. Because doesn't NFL Network carry some CFL games, or is that still on
they
ESPN?
do? I don't know. I don't know if it's NFL Network, but some ESPN
ESPN does.
Yeah.
Not ESPN proper, but one of the numbered ones.
I know they do a lot of them on ESPN3 on the website, and they'll put some on ESPN2, and I think they even had one on regular ESPN this year.
Yeah, I think so too.
And Chris Berman always gave the CFL a shout out, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, just while we're talking CFL, I do believe my Ottawa Red Blacks are the Grey Cup champions this year.
Reigning and defending.
Yes, sir.
With their pants that said #RB Nation down the side.
Oh, God.
Those will be immortalized. Those and the Cavs Blacks T-shirts are now, championship caliber uniforms.
Oh. Well, speaking of the Cavs,
Japanese baseball is the same time. It's late March, early April, and ends in October.
Okay. You said you wanted to talk about the Cavaliers, so what do you want to talk about?
Oh, well, okay. So the situation that happened with the Cavs on Saturday night, where the Cavs are playing the Clippers in Saturday night primetime ABC matchup, and the Cavaliers, or at least their coach Tyronn Lue, decided that primetime ABC against a good Clipper team would be the perfect time to give Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and LeBron James all days off.
Oh my. Yeah,
and completely messed with my fantasy basketball playoffs, by the way. Thanks.
Messed with fantasy basketball playoffs, but because it was a nationally televised game, and a big nationally televised game, they actually got a call from the NBA office.
Good.
And the NBA can't tell you when to play players, and the Cavaliers were using this shroud of vague injury concerns or just rest or whatever.
Bullshit. That's like the third time he's done this year that I know of.
Right. And, the GM after the game was questioned about it. It's like, yeah, we got a call from the league office. They obviously weren't very happy about it, but they're also not going to tell us how to run our basketball team. And we felt it was right to sit them.
Well, real quick. Why not? They played the Lakers last night on a game that was on regional TV. Why not just sit them down last night instead? Wait one day.
That's what I thought too. Because they said they were going on a back-to-back, but I didn't realize it was back-to-back Lakers-Clippers. And if that was the case, they should have just rested them against the Lakers.
Well, yeah, because a back-to-back against the Clippers and the Lakers, you're not even going anywhere. It's the same damn arena.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter because the Cavaliers are in a playoff spot, and beating the Clippers isn't going to, make or break their season or whatever. So they don't care. But in terms of just a league product sort of thing, the Spurs for years were criticized for doing that, where they'd sit down Duncan and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili at the end of the season. But that's because they were old.
Well, don't you think though that there's really, you can't order them to play. I get that, but when it's so blatant that they're doing this, wouldn't it be better to do this for home games at least? Because I would really be upset, especially paying Los Angeles prices, if I had tickets specifically to go see the Cavs play the Clippers that night, and none of the guys that I paid them, because let's be honest about it, nobody's going there to watch the guy that doesn't wear a shirt, can't even think of his name, for the Cavs. Yeah, they want LeBron, they want Kyrie, and they want Kevin Love, and they pay all this money. And I guarantee you, there were at least 10 kids in that crowd that had waited all damn season to see LeBron James, and he doesn't play. That's the part that's bullshit.
And if you're advertising the game, it's like Blake Griffin, Chris Paul versus LeBron James, a matchup of NBA superstars, and it's like, well, no.
Said you're going to have J.R. Smith and what's his name, the big tall center that they picked up.
Right, and they're going to. Then you get to watch the Clippers cruise to a 30-point win. Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't like that. And I think if you're going to do it, at least do it at home. That way you've got majority are season ticket holders. It's not going to kill them. Like I said, nobody showed up at that game to watch the Clippers play the Cavs developmental league team.
Yeah, and I actually know one of my friends, her mom and dad, they got courtside seats for this game. I don't know if they paid for them or if they got them somehow. I forget how they actually got them, but this on Friday night, she was telling me all about it. Like, she was jealous that her parents were going to go and LeBron was going to be there. It was going to be cool. And, I thought about that afterwards. Like, they got court seats to see nobody.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. So they lose by 30 to the Clippers and they barely beat the Lakers with the big three back in the line.
Right. I thought that was pretty funny too.
Yeah. Rested them up for what? Round 2 of the glorious Tournament of Victory is in the books, fellas.
Indeed, and I've got something on my desk. This is a real-time picture. Sentinel Prime here in person to
oversee his conference.
It's oversee his Memorial region.
Overall, I'd say it was a very interesting second round. We did the first round on the show, obviously, last week. Mm-hmm. And some surprises. I think I put in the thread that we had some matchups that I thought were going to be very close that weren't. We had some that I thought would be blowouts that were absolute knockdown dragouts. And, guys, we have the honor this week of breaking a tie. We had one tie in one of the regions. Yeah, so it will be our vote that decides this matchup.
So we've got to consult the council. We'll get I believe it's a Majestic 12 tiebreaker,
right?
Rider. So we'll summon the monks.
The way it works is the Majestic 12 is actually only 58% of the vote. We get the rest.
But so where do we want to start? Which region? Well, since Andy's not here, let's do his first.
Yeah.
Okay, from the Bill Paxton Memorial Region, played at Larry Fine Fieldhouse in Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. Our matchups were as such. In the 1 versus 9 seed, it was Endless Tacos versus Giant Anthropomorphic Eggplant that shits grenades. You guys want to make any guesses on how this one went?
I think the tacos got a lot of support. I know I heard a lot from the taco community, and they're really pumped for this run. They feel good.
Mike?
Tacos are awesome. Tacos. Okay, a lot of bacon peaked as sort of the food of choice for a couple years back, but I think tacos have a real groundswell of support. Everyone loves tacos, and you'd think that the eggplant shitting grenades could put a dent in them, but if they are truly endless, then eventually it will be overrun. So I see no way that the tacos lost.
Well, I thought this would be closer than it was, but you are right. This one was a complete blowout. Endless Tacos takes this matchup 28-8, never even close, never in doubt for a second. Endless Tacos, the number 1 seed from the Bill Paxton Memorial Region, moves on easily. Not a problem at all.
Brilliant.
The number 5 versus 13 seed, the sinking depression of remembering Robin Williams killed himself versus the most controversial, I think, entrant in the tournament this year, number 13 seed Harambe.
Ooh, I know. He's there's been some backlash.
A little bit of Harambe backlash, yeah.
But I think there's equal amounts backlash and equal amounts support for Harambe. And this is an internet poll, of course, that we put out. And Harambe, huge on the internet. If you haven't been on the internet in 2016-17 season, I don't know. This is a tough one.
This was a close one. This was a very close one. I honestly, this was one of the ones that I thought the sinking depression of Robin Williams would just take this and run away with it, but it was a lot tighter than I thought it would be.
I've got to think that the voters love themselves some chimps.
But keep
Harambe
in mind, he's a gorilla.
But I think there's enough crossover appeal, plus his status as a really powerful meme. I think Harambe scores an upset here.
Actually, Harambe, valiant in his effort, put up a hell of a fight, but he went down to the sinking depression of remembering Robin Williams killed himself by a score of 19-17, lost by 2.
Oh.
Harambe fought to the bitter end, but I think that backlash Zach brought up might have been the difference in this one. A couple more votes go his way, you never know. But so, number 5 seed, the sinking depression of Robin Williams killing himself, will move on to take on number 1 seed Endless Tacos, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I probably should be writing this down so I can keep track of it. In our next matchup, number 3 seed, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich the size of Maine, taking on Bill Belichick in a ironclad warship.
Belichick doesn't take a day off.
No, he does not.
I think he can pummel that into submission.
Zach?
I've got love for the PBJ sandwich. I know there was some concern that because it is the size of Maine and Maine is not a perfect square, that part of the sandwich would get soggy because it would dip into the ocean.
Oh, I never thought of that. But that's a good point.
But I think still the overall integrity of the sandwich would still, yes, part of it would get soggy and the warship would be able to tear through the soggy bits. But I also believe that it would be able to at least keep more than 3/4 of its integrity and still be fine. So I go sandwich.
This was another very, very close match. And I think in a bit of an upset, not a huge upset, but a bit of an upset, Bill Belichick and the Ironclad Warship takes this one 19-17. So I'm going to call that a little bit of an upset. Not a big upset, but I think it is an upset. So Bill Belichick and an Ironclad Warship will move on.
I had high hopes for the sandwich.
I did too.
But, as we kind of talked about when we first introduced all these entries, Belichick and a Warship, just it seems like that's something that he could be very effective with. So,
do we see this as possibly a Teddy Roosevelt astride a War Orca type run maybe taking place here with Bill Belichick?
Possibly, but I think the Patriot hate will catch up to it at some point.
Good point. And finally, in the last match of the Bill Paxton Memorial Region, number 2 seed, the Sinking Depression of Living in Trump's America, taking on number 7 seed, Goro.
I got to think Trump's America, the Depression from Trump's America wins that one. I mean, have you seen the news lately, man?
I try not to.
It's heavy, it's ever present, and I don't think anyone could deny it a vote as being a really powerful force given our current situation. So I got to give it to the Depression of Living in Trump's America.
I think, man, I don't know. I think Goro is pretty formidable one way or the other. So I know that's how I voted Goro.
I believe I did as well, but it was to no avail, Zach. The Sinking Depression of Living in Trump's America, but in a very close match again, a 2-point win. Now this is one that I thought was going to be an absolute blowout. I thought the Sinking Depression of Living in Trump's America would just walk away with this matchup, but it was a tight one from beginning to end, and 2-point win for the Sinking Depression.
Wow! So 2 Sinking Depression entries making it into the Sweet 16.
Yep.
Wow.
No, that's
or sorry, the Sensual 16.
Sensual 16. But that's I'll be realistic about this. 2016 was a banner year for crippling depression on all fronts.
It was.
But I think of Andy's region, yes, there's the 2 Sinking Depression and obviously 2016 year of Sinking Depressions. But if there's anything that can bring people out of that Sinking Depression, Endless Tacos.
If anything could do it, yeah.
I would have taken Endless Tacos to have the Sinking Depression of Living in Trump's America to have the easy win that Endless Tacos got here. Endless Tacos surprised me with their dominance in the first matchup. I really thought it would be a lot tighter than that. Let's move on over to the Sentinel Prime Memorial Region of Excellence, which took place at
the Bill Bryson
Center in Chicken Bone, Mississippi.
Broadcast on the SPMR Regional Network, hosted by network mainstay Skip Fletcher.
I'm assuming, Mike, that you know who Bill Bryson is, right?
No.
Oh, he's a noted Anglophile. I thought it was a little tie-in with you being the Anglophile that you are.
Oh!
So I did a Google search and I said famous Anglophiles, and his name was the first one that popped up. I said, there we have it.
I appreciate the tie-in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the name doesn't ring a bell, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Center spelled T-R-E, by the way. In Canadian
properly.
English, right, exactly.
Centra.
So, in our 1 versus 9 matchup here in the Sentinel Prime Memorial Region of Excellence, number 1 seed, Anti-Trump Bald Eagle, taking on number 9 seed, Ancient Alien Robot Osiris. Ancient Aliens Robot Osiris and Anti-Trump Bald Eagle.
I think this one would have been close, honestly. At least judging from the feedback on the boards, it seemed like this one was going to be a close matchup. I think, again, you just look at the times we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump, I mean, again, just... You don't even have to look at the news. Just look at your alerts on your phone. Like, it's ever present. It's not going away. We're not even 6 months in. Like, this is gonna be something that I think has legs on it. It's just really ever present. So I think Robot Osiris would have put up a good fight, but I don't think it was enough to overcome Anti-Trump Bald Eagle.
Well, yeah, you brought up that it hasn't even been 6 months. I think it's today the 20th, right?
It's been 2 months.
It's been 2 months. Doesn't it seem like it's been an awful lot longer than 2 months? We're talking 8 weeks into his presidency here. That's it.
A lot of stuff has happened.
We got a long way to go, kids.
8 weeks and what is it, 10 or 11 golf trips?
Wow, that's not bad. Anyway, well, this one wasn't even close. Anti-Trump Bald Eagle, who I think is one of Mike's strongest entries in a long time. Especially, I think last year it was a year too early. What you see teams do that in all tournaments where they show up a year early. This year, I think the Trump Bald Eagle has found its footing. 25-10, not even a contest. Trump Bald Eagle walks away with this one.
That's actually a bigger margin for victory than I was expecting. I was expecting more out of Ancient Aliens Robot Osiris, but, you know.
I think it was just...
This is why we play the game, right?
Right, victim of the matchup, basically, I think. I think we had that happen a couple times here in the tournament. Number 4 seed, Buffalo Sabres skate-wearing Buffalo, taking on number 5 seed, the Mensch on the bench, Team Israel's World Baseball Classic mascot. One of my favorite entries, by the way.
I saw a lot of discussion about this one, a lot of people echoing our concerns where, is this mascot even a thing that's... Is it even okay to be okay with? And then it's like, but you know, it's Israel doing it, so I guess it's okay, but it's still kind of uncomfortable. I think, you know, as former WCW Vice President Eric Bischoff once said, and you know what? In the Sentinel Prime Memorial Region of Excellence, we pay a great amount of deference to the pro wrestling business. Controversy creates cash. And, you know, I think that Buffalo wearing skates, it's a great entry. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's a shame the team never utilized it.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't have the legs.
It doesn't, and I think part of the thing is, I don't know. I saw a lot of concerns that people didn't know what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And we posted it in the one thread, but I don't think it comes from a small tournament, the unused logos conference.
Mm-hmm.
Not even rendered. It's the unused sketched logos.
Right. You're talking like a concept of a concept thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it just didn't get a lot of eyes on it during the season, and it's coming into the tournament, and people might not know what it is, and I mean, unfortunately, not get the support.
You're absolutely right, Zach. It's a conference with very little eyes on it. I think it was just happy to be here.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you
the fact that it got through one round, I think is a testament to it, and we'll see how it fared, but
it did for having very little name recognition and people not really being terribly familiar with it. It did very well in this tournament. Now it lost, but it hung tough with, I think, what is going to be one of the favorites in this region. It lost by a score of 20-14. So even though it lost, I think it made a very strong showing for itself. But the Mensch on the bench, Team Israel's World Baseball Classic mascot, moves on with a closer than expected victory over the Buffalo Sabres skate-wearing Buffalo. So good matchup all around, I think.
Now, here's the thing. Next round, Anti-Trump Bald Eagle and Team Israel mascot, similar values, similar motivations.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll see.
That could get sketchy. That could bring out some strong opinions. And you know what? The Sentinel Prime Memorial Region of Excellence Network and Skip Fletcher will be there to document all of it.
There you go.
That Jewish reporter from that press conference, who does he pick in this one?
Which press conference, man? There's been
the nuclear bomb one.
Oh yes.
The one where he was going to shoot the Russian ship.
Oh yeah. I was thinking about the Jewish one who asked the Jewish reporter who asked Trump about the anti-Semitic bomb threats.
That was in the same one.
Oh yeah. And then Trump responded to that by talking about how big his electoral victory was, and it's like that isn't even an answer on so many levels. But okay.
Moving on in the Sentinel Prime Memorial Region of Excellence, number 3 seed Russell, Manitoba goalie Beer Thief taking on number 11 seed Freaky Mr. Rogers statue.
Now, I saw the Freaky Mr. Rogers statue putting up a hell of a fight on the discussion, so I have to think whoever wins this one, it's going to be close. I'm not going to broadcast my biases one way or the other on this one. That would be unbecoming, given that it is my region. But I feel like, in my opinion, the Russell Manitoba was perhaps the stronger candidate overall. But again, statues have done statues have a very good track record in this thing. They never seem to be able to win it, but they always have a strong showing.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, if you remember, it was a statue that knocked off our first number 1 seed ever in the tournament when Jupiter got taken down by the Colonel Sanders statue. So the statue conference does very well in the Glorious Tournament of Victory. But I agree with you. The Russell Manitoba goalie Beer Thief, a very, very strong candidate. But again, I'm wondering if it was maybe a lack of familiarity that hurt it. Not quite so much as the Buffalo, skate-wearing Buffalo, but I do think there were enough people on this that did not know enough about the goalie Beer Thief to hurt it. And I think that was the end result here. Freaky Mr. Rogers statue with an upset over number 3 seed Russell Manitoba goalie Beer Thief, a 20-14 win for Freaky Mr. Rogers statue. And as always, the statue conference moves on again.
As strong as the goalie was, just I think once anyone looks up this statue and sees it takes you for a loop.
Yeah, it does. You look up the statue and you go, "Did the sculptor hate Mr. Rogers? They made this to honor him? That doesn't seem right."
He looks like he has leprosy or something, or God knows what. I don't know.
And then someone posted a link to a similar statue of Albert Einstein, and I don't even is this a viable aesthetic for statues? Why?
I don't know. But it was enough to beat out the goalie Beer Thief, which I find very disappointing. I thought the goalie Beer Thief, I think it was up there with the sacred moose leg in that category of absurdity and just, the beauty of the tournament.
They're both from the Oddities from the Canadian Prairies conference, which, always has some interesting contenders. But
yeah, I think it's one of those conferences. It's like the MAC in the basketball tournament. You know they're probably not going to win it, but man, you love seeing the teams do well.
Oh yeah.
Now here's where it gets interesting, guys. We have a tie to settle here. Number 2 seed, original gangster Aaron Burr. Number 10 seed, Tom Brady sex toy, and a flat-footed 18-all tie. And this shocked me. I thought OG Aaron Burr was going to just run away with this. I had no idea it would be this close.
Patriots hate, man. Patriots hate.
So.
I'm going to step back. I'm going to let you two decide. I will only cast a vote if the tiebreaker needs a tiebreak, but I am going to let you guys have at it.
Zach, I will give you the honor. You take the first vote here.
Let's see. It's Aaron Burr versus the Tom Brady dildo, right?
Yeah. What I'm going to do while we're waiting here is I'm going to go through the votes on the boards and see whose logic I like the best, and perhaps cast my vote that way.
I'm also looking for outside help here. I've consulted my girlfriend, who is a participant in the tournament, and also helped with some of my entries. So
as did my girlfriend this year. She came up with a couple that I'd have to see them and I'll remember. But yeah,
she was hurt by a few of the entries that didn't make it past the first round.
So was mine. Did you get a what the hell happened here?
I did.
Me too.
The one that got a lot of argument was the Martha from Batman vs Superman, and I can't live that down apparently.
Martha, why did you say that name?
So okay, Tom Brady dildo. Look, OG Aaron Burr, he was a straight thug. He shot in cold blood.
Stone cold gangster, man.
But the thing to remember with the Aaron Burr Hamilton thing was, yes, did Aaron Burr kill him in cold blood? Sure. Hamilton willingly entered in to this competition with Aaron Burr. So yes, he shot him in cold blood, but it was a mutual thing. The Tom Brady dildo is just hilarious. The cartoon eyes, everything about it was just perfect. So I'm going to go Tom Brady dildo.
Okay. When I saw this, I've had the luxury of having a little bit longer to think about this one than you guys have, because I saw the score last night when the voting closed. And I got to go with Zach on this one. I got to think that the Brady dildo, I just saw some funny reasoning for it on the boards, which cracked me up. And it's just, I think it just fits the overall feel of the Glorious Tournament of Victory in such a great way that it has to move on.
And so it does.
So it does. So there you go. And that closes it out for the Sentinel Prime Memorial Region of Excellence. Tom Brady Sex Toy gets the win. I guess we'll call it a 19-18 win over OG Aaron Burr.
Wow.
So,
and he'll be going up
Freaky Mr. Rogers statue.
Right, the freaky statue. Oh, that's a. Ooh.
That'll be a matchup for the ages. And then we've also got that the Mensch on the bench versus anti-Trump bald eagle. So Jesus Christ, where is this region being broadcast from?
It is being broadcast.
Chicken Bone, Mississippi.
Chicken Bone, Mississippi, the Bill Bryson Center. In Chicken Bone, Mississippi. Now, remember, we're moving on to new arenas next week.
Okay. So we're saying goodbye to Chicken Bone, Mississippi.
Chicken Bone, we're heading on the road, yep. We can say goodbye to Chicken Bone. By the way, folks, just to make sure everyone knows, every town listed is a real town. They all actually exist. Floyd's Knobs, Indiana, real place. Chugwater, Wyoming, real place. What is it? Chicken Bone, Mississippi, real place. Muleshoe, Texas, real place. All right, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, no. I was just going to say we were going to a lot of barn burners, but if we're moving on, then,
we're moving on. Yes, we will move on to the next round of arenas. Okay, on to the next region here. The goddamn Batman Memorial Region, home of two-time repeat champion, the goddamn Batman, who has been retired and thus had a region named after him. Our number one seed, and I think the tournament favorite right now, Sacred Moose Leg of Flin Flon, taking on number 9 seed, Accidental Curly Fry.
Not too much support for the Moose Leg.
Yeah, and look, when you've got things like this going on in the town of Flin Flon, and sweeping the nation, the Moose Leg, you got to respect
the leg, eh?
Respect the leg, eh?
Oh, and 2 exclamation points. That's rather boastful for Canadians. So
wow, that is
serious.
That's like the American equivalent of running down the street naked there. Well, this was this one was very Canadian, right down to the final score. For those of you that are fans of the band Rush, you'll get what this means. Final score in this one: Sacred Moose Leg of Flin Flon 21, Accidental Curly Fry 12. 21-12, a iconic Rush album. So that's how Canadian this thing got. The Moose Leg moves on, I think, in a surprise to no one.
Look, I'm just saying, I want to apologize on behalf of the Glorious Tournament of Victory tournament to the town of Flin Flon. I'm sure we're crashing their internet again.
Okay, up next, number 3 seed, Outback's new 3-point Bloomin' Onion, taking on number 13 seed, another one of my favorites in the tournament, the TV Guide channel. Close matchup here. What are your thoughts, guys?
Now, I also, because TV Guide channel was the entry that beat Martha, it got plenty of derision on the home front. So, just to again clarify, this is not TV Guide channel in its current form, because it's not even called the TV Guide channel anymore. It's now Pop TV. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the TV Guide channel in its purest sense, the guide with the programs running above it.
Right. Classic television.
Right, and I don't know. I don't know. This is a tough one.
It was a very close match. Mike?
I think nostalgia is a strong theme in the goddamn Batman Memorial Region this year, and I think the TV Guide channel has a lot of nostalgia behind it. I'm going to go with TV Guide channel.
Well, you're right. It had a lot of nostalgia behind it, but not quite enough. The Bloomin' Onion takes the 2-point win.
That's what I thought.
Would have even be better if it would have been a 3-point win, but okay. 17-15, the Outback new 3-point Bloomin' Onion takes down the TV Guide channel 17-15, and we'll move on to the Sweet 16. Let me write that down. Outback. Oh, I already wrote it down. I take that back. They're taking on the Moose Leg. My bad.
Yeah, it's taking over the Moose Leg.
I think the Outback new 3-point Onion is probably done at this point. Up next, Number 3 seed, Nostalgia Boner, taking on number 6 seed, and I think a surprising winner out of the first round, Breakfast for Dinner.
Nostalgia Boner is strong. It's a strong contender. It's why I put it where I did in the brackets. But Breakfast for Dinner seems to be getting a little groundswell of support. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was an upset here, maybe. But I still think Nostalgia Boner is a pretty strong entry.
I got to be honest. I thought the amount of support I saw Breakfast for Dinner getting on the boards and then the voting was just amazing to me.
Look, look, Nostalgia Boner. No one knows you. No one appreciates you like I do. But at the same time, I'm going to repeat what I said last week. If I'm at a restaurant for lunch or dinner, and they have all-day breakfast, I'm ordering off the breakfast menu. No question about it.
Someone
breakfast for dinner.
Where is it here? All-day breakfast is the goddamn best was a comment on the boards.
It is.
Let me see here.
Like, I'm sorry, if I'm at a restaurant, they have all-day breakfast, screw it. For dinner, I'm having French toast. And it's going to be delightful.
I'm trying to find it. It was a really good comment here. Oh, that's not a good one. But anyway, yeah, so to get back on point here, the winner of this matchup was, in fact, Breakfast for Dinner, 18-15 over Nostalgia Boner. So I guess that's an upset. 6 seed over 3. I don't know if it's that big of an upset, but I was surprised by the amount of support Breakfast for Dinner got. But I'm with you, Mike. If they're serving breakfast all day, you can bet that's what I'm getting. I don't care what time of day it is. Like, I love the Waffle House. And when I was driving back from Florida last summer, every time I stopped at the Waffle House, it would be 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 o'clock at night, I would get the egg sandwich with hash browns. So there you have it. And finally, our last matchup in the goddamn Batman Memorial Region being played at the Cesar Romero Memorial Arena in Chugwater, Wyoming. Number 2 seed, THX Sound Before Movies, taking on number 10 seed, Tangled Slinky.
THX Sound. It's strong. And I think it could untangle a Slinky with its woofering sounds.
Mike?
When I see the THX logo, when I hear the THX sound, I think there has been craftsmanship put into this motion picture. And a Tangled Slinky indicates that craftsmanship was not put into that particular Slinky. THX Sound.
I was surprised because on the boards, it seemed like the Tangled Slinky was getting a lot of support. And I thought this is going to be a tight matchup. It was never even close. The THX Sound, and I think what may be the biggest blowout in the tournament so far, 27-6 over Tangled Slinky.
Oh.
Never even a contest. So the THX Sound will move on to take on number 6 seed Breakfast for Dinner in the goddamn Batman Memorial Region. And finally, in the region of the defending champions, the Chimp Mariachi Band, the Bernie Kosar knows what it means to be a Cleveland Brown region, being played at Slim Whitman Memorial Arena in Muleshoe, Texas. We'll start out with our number 9 versus 16 matchup. Number 9 seed, 1974 Winnebago, taking on number 16 seed Kellyanne Conway's Next True Statement. A matchup I thought would be very, very close. And it was not.
I'm just going to base this off of what we've seen in the 2 previous Trump-related matchups where the depression of living in Trump's America and anti-Trump Bald Eagle both did very well because of the times. Kellyanne Conway, I mean, that Bowling Green thing, that catapulted her into the stratosphere, I'd have to think. So, I mean, yeah, politicians lie all the time, and we accept that. But I think this is the first time that a government official in a free democracy just flat out made up a terrorist attack.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the audacity of it was impressive. I think it was like, wow. Okay, Zach, you got any thoughts on this one?
No.
Okay.
And look, I want to say that I was pulling for Winnebago. That's who I cast my vote for. it's a perfect slice of 70s nostalgia. And even though I am not old enough to have 70s nostalgia, I can still appreciate it for what it is. I was pulling for it. I love the various shades of brown and cream coloring. I love the giant W on the side in case we all forgot what vehicle we're looking at.
And not to mention, you didn't get to see it in the picture, but I promise you that thing was filled with green shag carpeting on the inside.
Oh, well, there you go. But I just think that the political-oriented entries right now, at least for that first round, had too much momentum behind them. And I have to think Kellyanne Conway cruised to victory.
Well, you're right, except for the part about cruising to victory. 74 Winnebago in a rout takes down Kellyanne Conway's next true statement 25-10. Winnebago just putting down the ass whipping on Kellyanne Conway. I was surprised. I thought this would be a tighter match than it was. This was another one where I thought this is going to be a barn burner, and it was never even a contest. So the Winnebago will move on to the next round.
Color me pleasantly surprised.
I think me too a little bit. Up next, in the Bernie Kosar knows what it means to be a Cleveland Brown region. Perennial GTOV favorites from the Chimp Conference. Number 4 seed, Chimp Biker Gang, Darwin's Disciples, taking on number 5 seed, Detroit, in what I think was a clash of the Titans in this tournament, especially for a second-round matchup.
I don't think in the history of a glorious tournament of victory there's ever been a matchup between two entries that fit each other quite like this.
Yeah. I honestly think if these two entries were on further parts of the bracket, they would probably be meeting each other in a regional final.
I was very disappointed that these two met up so early, because it really is a real good matchup. I'm really disappointed they met way too early, I think.
I've been to Detroit more than a few times. Downtown Detroit is one of the most depressing places I've ever stepped foot in, and it would not have surprised me in the least. It would not have surprised me in the least to see a biker gang of chips just turn the corner somewhere. It just would have. All right.
Like, you'd be surprised to be like, "What the hell is this?" But you'd also fully understand, like, nope, that's Detroit.
It would be one of those things like, "Oh, that's a biker gang of chimps. That's interesting." It wouldn't be like, "What the fuck? That's a biker gang of chimps." That's the difference with Detroit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Zach, what do you think on this one?
Oh, man.
Is Detroit enough to take down the mighty, and the Chimp Conference, always a perennial fan favorite, too. Just a powerhouse in the glory.
Always a fan favorite. I just think Detroit on its own is such a strong concept. I like Detroit.
I like Detroit, too. It just cuts right to you. You don't even have, to put it in perspective, Greg, you didn't even have to say urban decay of Detroit or the decline of Detroit. You just said Detroit, and I guarantee you, everyone, the same image flashed in their minds. That is a strong entry. And yes, the Chimp Conference is a perennial favorite among the voters, but Mariachi Band's victory last year was such a big deal because it was the first time they broke through. So it's not like the Chimp Conference has an unbeatable track record. So I think Detroit had enough to get over that hump.
Well, another thing to think about, too, with the Chimp Conference, was there maybe a little Chimp Conference fatigue going into this year? They'd finally won it. They'd been at least to the Final Four every season in the glorious tournament of victory. Was it possible that maybe this would be the year people said, enough with the Chimps?
Well, we already saw a bit of that when what?
Harambe.
No, not Harambe. In round one.
Oh, flamenco guitarist Chimp.
Flamenco guitarist Chip. Let's not split hairs here. His decision to try to make a go of it solo was based off of a little bit of arrogance.
Sure.
And so, yeah, the biker gang Chimp led as a team. They work better together. But maybe a bit of fatigue, maybe a bit of arrogance on the Chimps' part. Did the Chimps finally breaking through last year turn them into the Red Sox, where now they've become insufferable in victory?
Well, all very good, legitimate points, but you know what? You don't mess with the power of the Chimp Conference in this tournament. And what I thought would be the matchup of the second round never even in doubt, not for a second. Final score in the biggest blowout in the tournament so far, Chimp Biker Gang, Darwin's Disciples 28, Detroit 7.
Whoa.
The Chimp Conference, just when you think they've peaked and you say this is going to be the year where they can't do it, and bang, here we are again, just kicking ass.
28-7.
28-7. Yep. I'm as surprised as anybody. I really thought, when I saw this matchup, I thought, well, the Chimps are going to be going out early this year, and they were. It was never even close. Chimps were up at 19-0 at one point. I thought they were going to pitch a shutout in this one. So, Chimp Biker Gang, Darwin's Disciples will move on to take on 1974 Winnebago in the next round. Moving down the line, and this one's one that I'm like, how in the hell is this so close? I don't get it, but it was. Number 6 seed, Real Life Sharknado taking on number 14, Russian Dashcam.
Russian Dashcam had to pull out of this, right?
Well, it was close.
Yeah, I think Russian Dashcam won this one. I have to think.
You are correct. It did win, but it did so by a mere 2 points, which I'm just disappointed. Sometimes the voters, I look at them and I go, what are you people thinking? I didn't even think Real Life Sharknado was a very strong candidate, and it was in my bracket. And I think the Russian Dashcam is one that's got the stuff that maybe makes a long run in the tournament. Why this is close is beyond me. I have no idea. But it got the win, 18-16. And finally, number 10 seed, the Righteous Indignation of Keith Olbermann, taking on from the As Seen on TV conference, number 15 seed, Wonder Sauna Hot Pants.
I maintain, I voted for the Wonder Sauna Hot Pants, and I did so with the rationale that I think that if Keith Olbermann saw the Wonder Sauna Hot Pants, he would be indignant about it. And he would get very angry, and he would probably go on one of his long tirades, and he'd just lose track of time. So I think the Hot Pants have the advantage.
Zach?
I think Hot Pants too. I think he wears the hot pants and calms down. No more not righteously indignant, just, he sweated it out. He's fine.
Yeah, it was not really ever even close. The As Seen on TV conference doing what it normally does. It makes it run to the Sweet 16. It took this one 24-11. Not a problem at all. And it will move on. Wonder Sauna Hot Pants will be taking on Russian Dashcam in the next round. So there you have it. Round 2 of the glorious tournament of victories in the books. We are down to the Sweet 16. We will be posting voting links and all that in the next day or so. And I guess that's it for the week, guys. I think we're done.
That'll do it.
Don't forget to vote in the glorious tournament of victory. I think now we are down to few enough games where I can put the entire voting thing into one link, which will be nice. And I'll post that on Twitter, on the boards, and on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports, Tumblr.com/Basically Sports. You can go to iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Spreaker and subscribe to the show. And I believe that is it. You can find us on Facebook. So with that, we're going to call it a night. We'll see you next time.
Adios.
Later.